I really hate recording. Recording sucks, man. Alright, cool. So before we start talking about this song, we're gonna have to talk about some basics of rhythm. Okay, so this is we got that? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4/4 time, otherwise known as common time. This is the basic building block of pop music composition. Top 4 represents how many beats there are in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one measure. The bottom 4 represents what kind of note gets the beat. In this case, the 4 beat, aka the quarter note. That's 4 quarter notes to a measure. So let's say we get a bit more complicated. So we go into 6/8 time. That's 6 beats in the measure. And the 8th note gets the beat. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So those are the rudiments of rhythm. And if something needs more explaining, cross your fingers that I'll explain it later in the video. Okay, so there are two facets of composition in which this song excels. One is instrumentation and the other is rhythm. I had a video talking about that, but then I went crazy for half a day and then deleted half of the videos on my channel. So let's start where we started last time. I think I recall saying something about how pop music composition is a valuable skill because it entails the ability to create a sonic experience that resonates with an extremely large amount of people, which is a feat that only a few composers can boast for more than a few years. With that said, being able to make even one hit pop song is a notable feat in itself, as there is an amalgam of possibility that goes into the fundamentally unique creation that is a singular song. Now, for those not in the know, let's explicitly state some of the generalities for the sake of the video. Most pop songs are in 4/4 time. They go verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. They're 4 to 5 minutes, and they have polished vocals. Now imagine how much harder it would be to make a popular pop song when you throw out the backbone of most pop songs, the common time. This is a recording of the Roy Hargrove Quintet playing Strasbourg Symphony, R.I.P. Roy. Now notice that after the rhythm section drops out, the pianist signals to the audience to start clapping on 2 and 4. 2 and 4. This is because he's utilizing a technique called syncopation. In a sentence, syncopation is basically an irregular rhythm, or deviant from what is conventionally considered regular. You know what, let's just talk about it some more on the piano. So whenever I'm looking for a metaphor for a time signature, the one that I always go back to is like the ground, the floor. So, for example, in 4/4 time, which is actually the time signature for Strasbourg Symphony, it's 4/4 time, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, like we were talking about before, right? And the thing about that is that every single beat is an opportunity for the song to ground itself once again. And every time that the instrumentation misses one of those beats, it's floating farther and farther away. And it gives more of an opportunity for the audience or the listener to be less grounded from the rhythm of the song. And that is a very precarious state to be in. In the right hand, it's very masterful. What I'm going to do here, right? I'm going to play you the tempo. I'm going to give you the 4/4 time, and then I'm going to play it without the metronome to show you like the disparity of what will happen, what it feels like to have those proverbial training wheels taken off, and then you're just left with your own ears and no guidance listening to the experience. And it's decidedly different. And I think that the piano solo did really well, but let's see what we can do here. So that's 1, 2, right? So it's So if you go back and listen, you'll notice that none of those notes ever hit in time with the metronome. So it's very floaty, and without the metronome, there's just no guidance at all. So that's why you need the clapping, at least on 2 and 4. So you'll stay grounded, and you'll you'll have a context of what the pianist is doing rhythmically, as opposed to having no light at the end of that tunnel and just being completely lost. So let's do that again. So you're going to notice that there's going to be a transitional chord which lands on one of the beats, and that note is very important because that's the grounding note, as I was saying before. And that's probably the most important part, because if it's all just floatiness and no grounding, then you're lost. So let's try doing that real quick. Here it comes. So that's it. That's the whole solo. It's pretty much a hit or miss type situation, because to the untrained ear, it just sounds like cacophony. It's like, what are you doing? Where's the rhythm section? I have no idea what's going on. But let's go back to the video at hand. All right, fantastic. Okay, so there's a reason why I just spent so much time telling you about syncopation. You guessed it. The Hoseki no Kunio-pi, Kyomi no Nami, has it in spades. As a matter of fact, right from the beginning. The piano rhythm seems incredibly interested in making a statement from the get-go. You're not listening to your average composition. There's this deliberate decision for the tones to seldom land on the beat to keep the listener at attention. However, the guitar comes in every 8 beats to make sure that the soundscape isn't too floaty. Soon enough, the percussion goes back in, but make sure to stay in tone with the rest of the song by having the cymbals dominate as to not bring too much attention to them while supplementing the ostensible cacophony, as opposed to having kick drums or something. The bass does the usual job in grounding the whole composition, but in this case, it only graces us with staccato notes, otherwise known as, really short, punchy notes. Once again, staying within the lines of the ethos of the song, reserved, meticulous, mathematical. The strings come in, aiding in the inevitable anticipation of what's to come next, the chorus. The percussion gives us release by mirroring the vocals by letting the cymbals ring out for 8 straight beats. The bass's tone is decidedly different at this part, creating a more grandiose soundscape by trading the 8th and quarter notes for much more drawn out ones. And once the chorus ends, we're thrown into the intro of the second verse, while at the same time introducing the triplet cello rhythm, evoking a sort of ethereal sound through associations with waltz music. Though the melody of the vocals is the same as the first verse, the tone is shifted. The lower drums have been introduced, teaming up with the bass to give a more heavy feel. Once again, the floor drops out from underneath us, with the only guidance being the incredibly ephemeral kick drum. In summation, all the action is going on in the higher tones. As said before, the cello is giving us a persistent triplet melody, while the hi-hat cymbal gives us a supplementary quintuplet rhythm. With so much going on rhythmically, there's very little to grab onto, as most of the notes are gone the second you notice them. So after the solo section with the cello, we go into the bridge, in which we are thrown into a completely different rhythmic paradigm. Whereas all those polyrhythms we were talking about earlier were happening in the confines of a 4/4 rhythm, we're now introduced to the 7/8 time signature, in which there are 7 eighth notes in a measure. Whereas the sonic floor was dragged out from underneath us because of the polyrhythms before, there's honestly not really much you can do here to bring the floor back. 7/8 is a time signature that is fundamentally uncomfortable to the human ear, unpredictable, off-kilter, and incidentally, one of the best ways you can build tension before the release, which is, you guessed it, at the chorus. Once again, the composition forgoes the heavy percussion to throw us back into the air within the comfortable confines of the 4/4 time signature to get us to cool off right before crashing down full force and incorporating almost all of the instrumentation as a culmination of everything the song has presented to us. And at last, the song concludes with a singular 7/8 phrase as if to encapsulate the fundamental complexity of the song in the simplest way. A demonstration of a pretty beautiful paradox if I were to describe it. Okay, so last time this was the part of the video where I mentioned Arturo Sandoval playing the national anthem and hitting those high notes, and me being absolutely amazed that he could play them at that age. Because I knew what it took to play those notes, because I myself am a trumpet player. And when I showed my brother, he was just like, yeah, that's cool. But then I cut a promo about how amazing it was, and why didn't he get it? You should be losing your mind. But then after some self-assessment, I came up with the term vocational appreciation, in which there is this acute admiration you can have for those in a practice similar to yours, because you have more comprehensive understanding of what goes into the practice and what makes the greats great on a functional, performative level. And that's the point of the video. I hope I could help you even a little bit in understanding the mathematical precision that took place, the proverbial needle threading that occurred in the conception and actualization of the song. And I know that I can't ever get you to completely see my perspective, but you know, who knows? Maybe this is good enough. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. If you liked, like the video. If you like clicking red buttons, subscribe. If you want to support me more than you ever would by literally watching all of my videos, then please pledge $1 to me on Patreon. Check out my other social medias if you'd like, as well as my comic. My name's Huxtable, and as I said before, hopefully this was good enough.